Oh, okay, I'm doing this thing a second time. If you are a Pixl Vision student and you are in the first term, you probably work with the Fantasy House assignment. The Fantasy House assignment might not render on your PC correctly. That has a simple reason. The project is from 2015 and the render settings are also from 2015. So with newer iterations of Arnold, they don't work that great, and with newer PCs, they also don't work that great. What you want to do is you change modeling to rendering. You go to render and render settings. When you are there, you go to presets, import render settings, default settings. The first thing you want to change is change EXR to PNG or JPEG. Simple reason for that is if you don't do compositing afterwards, you don't need the EXR. You want to go down and change HD 540 to HD 1080. When you changed it to HD 1080, you have the right resolution. Other things you can do to improve your render time if you have a GPU from NVIDIA, and it's a newer one like 1660, 1080, 2070, 3090 maybe even. You change it to GPU and you change it to CPU as render fallback device. You make on enable manual device selection and you change whatever card you have. That will just make your life a bit easier. There is the possibility that that doesn't work. In the case that it doesn't work, change back to CPU, it's just way slow. If you have the time and the ability, use adaptive sampling, but don't use it if you use GPU rendering, because GPU rendering doesn't really work with adaptive sampling that great. So you have a GPU, you use GPU rendering, don't use it. That simple. If your image looks extremely noisy, put that to 4 or 5. Don't go over the top with 16 or so, because you really don't need it. If you render it and your image looks fine, leave it at 3. If all of that doesn't help you, hit me up and we look deeper into it, but it should help you. And yeah, sometimes the other things of the project also don't work. I will look into making tutorials for that too. Until then.